Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Easter Eggs, the series where we take a look at some of the latest and not so latest Easter eggs in video games. Once again, remember, this isn't a countdown or a top 10 video. This is a video about the Easter eggs that I found that I think are cool. Now, in the last episode of this series, we took a look at some of your rivals in Trailer, and I asked you to help me work out who some of these rivals were a reference to. A big point of contention was Frank Woods, with many people claiming he was a reference to Chuck Green from Dead Rising 2. And I do see the resemblance. But after a little digging and a whole lot of help from the comments section, I'm pretty sure that Frank Woods is a reference to Jack Benton from the Flatout games. Jack was even going to be named Frank, but the name was changed as there was already another character called Frank in Flatout. So whilst Chuck Green was a good shout, the fact that Trailout is heavily inspired by Flatout, I think it's safe to say that Frank Woods is a nod to Jack Benton. Anyway, do you remember Big Cheese, the Big Smoke lookalike from the last video? Well, it turns out that when you finally go wheel to wheel with him, you do so here, at this delightful cul-de-sac, which is of course a reference to Grove Street from GTA San Andreas. So in Trailout, you can change your driver's clothes, but there is one outfit in particular that stands out from the rest. When facing off against Niko Bellic lookalike Ivan Comrade, you can head off the beaten path and pass through this marker, which will unlock a new outfit. The outfit in question is this pink jumpsuit, which is a reference to YouTuber turned singer Filthy Frank, who made pink onesies cool. The final Trailout Easter egg references one of TV's most traumatic scenes. At the cargo port, you can find this. So a shipping container covered in blood, with a chainsaw laying on the floor. Now the chances are that some of you recognise this scene immediately, but if you didn't, this is a reference to the brilliant TV show Dexter. Now there are a lot of things that I don't know. I mean, you've only got to watch a couple of my videos to know that. But one of the things I know little to nothing about is Warhammer. I mean, as a kid, I remember going to a games workshop here in the UK and being amazed at the battle scenes that had been created using tiny models. And that's where my experience with Warhammer ends. Still, in 2024, Warhammer is more accessible than it's ever been. And that's thanks in large part to multiple video games. Take Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun for example. Bolt Gun is a first-person shooter that was released in 2023. The game takes obvious inspiration from the likes of the original Doom and Wolfenstein, and in the game's first level, that inspiration is very apparent. So this area here is an almost one-to-one recreation of the first level in the original Doom. Everything from these stairs to these four pillars in the middle of the room is pretty much identical, which is really cool. Sticking with retro-looking first-person shooters, The Last Exterminator hasn't even been released yet, but you can once again find a tribute to a very influential 90s FPS. In the game's demo, which is available on Steam, you can try and speak to the Duke himself.
Hi, you've reached the voicemail of... If you're not here to ruin my vacation, leave a message after the beep. How the hell do I turn this thing off?
So despite not actually answering the phone, the voice on the answering machine is that of John St. John, aka the voice of Duke Nukem. So in Thursday's Hidden Details video, we took a look at some really cool hidden details in the surprising Souls-like Another Crab's Treasure. But the game is also packed with a whole bunch of Easter eggs. Now, when exploring the oceans of Another Crab's Treasure, you'll find loads of junk that has been discarded by pesky humans. And one of those pieces of junk is this. So this is obviously a reference to McDonald's fries, but looking closer, we can see that the McDonald's logo looks a little sus. And that's because it's not the McDonald's logo at all, it's a crewmate from Among Us. That's not where the Among Us love ends. If you visit the store in Upper Crust, you can actually buy an Among Us themed shell, which is really cool. Something else that can be bought in the shop are outfits for Krill. These range from the funny to the instantly recognisable. So this outfit is the same outfit worn by the money-hungry Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob. Another piece of rubbish that you can find is this cigarette box. This is obviously a nod to the famous cigarette brand Marlboro, but in another Krabs Treasure, the name has been changed to Mario. Now, I know the obvious link here is to Super Mario, but I'm not sure what Mario has in common with cigarettes. What do you think? A reference to Mario or just a reference to the Marlboro brand? Let me know in the comments. The final Easter egg from another Krabs Treasure is a QR code, and you'll be surprised to hear that it isn't a Rick roll. In the lower crust area, you can find loads of QR codes, though most of them are too damaged to scan. But you can find one of these codes that isn't damaged, and if you scan it, this will happen.
You just got coconut mauled. Share this with all your friends to totally coconut maul them.
Now, I have to admit, I've never been coconut mauled before, but I quite like it. Now, in a strange turn of events, this next game also features a crab. Well, okay, it doesn't, but it is called Crab Game. Crab Game is a first-person multiplayer game heavily inspired by the hit show Squid Game. Players must compete against each other in a variety of different games to survive, and given that it's free, it's not a bad way to spend a couple of hours. Now, the first Easter egg from Crab Game can be found on the Macaroni Mountain stage. If you head to the back of the map, you can find a message that says Macaroni Mountain is a lie. There is not a single macaroni here, which, to be fair, is true. Next up on the blue line map, you can access a tricky to reach area and find this. So this is the Carlson Vibe, a music video uploaded by Danny2 back in 2020. The song was made with the help of Twitter and has gained over 6 million views since it was uploaded. Right, it's now time for our overused video game Easter egg of the week, the segment where we take a look at one Easter egg that has been referenced to death in video games. Today's overused Easter egg can be found in the open world action adventure game Wobbly Life. If you head down into the sewers, you can find this. Now, usually, finding turtles in a sewer almost certainly means that this is a reference to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The thing is, there are only 3 turtles here, which means that one of the gang is missing. Still, I do think that this is a reference to the Heroes in a Half Shell. Be sure to join me next time for another overused video game Easter egg of the week. So a few episodes back, I was pretty sure that we were done with the Easter eggs from the excellent puzzle game, The Talos Principle 2. But as usual, it turns out there were a couple that I missed. First up, in West 1, you can find this. So this very happy banana is a reference to the super stylish, super fun, super brilliant My Friend Pedro and the sentient banana found in the game. The other Easter egg that I found in the Talos Principle 2 will be sure to please cat lovers everywhere. In New Jerusalem, you can find a shrine to the furry felines, with each of the terminals showing pictures of different cats along with captions for each one. The way that some of the cats are spoken about makes me think that they may have died, which does make this one kind of sad too. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then leaving a like is really appreciated. If you are a fan of Easter eggs and secrets in games, then perhaps consider subscribing, as that's what this channel is all about. If you want more videos just like this one, then perhaps click on one of the videos on screen, as YouTube seems to think that you'll like those too. As always, a big thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.